All right, in this video, we want to do the curve sketching algorithm for this irrational function over here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to factor this equation. So I can common factor an x out of the top and the bottom. So I'll have x cubed minus 7x plus 6 on the top. And for the bottom, I'll have x squared minus 2x minus 15. Now I want to factor these brackets even further over here. The top is a cubic equation, so I can use factor theorem, and I can also use synthetic division. But there is actually a quicker way to do this one. It's a bit complicated, so you might not know it. But instead of doing factor theorem and synthetic division, to save time, I'm going to factor this one in a quicker way. But it's not possible for every single problem, just for a few cases like this one. So I can actually factor this by grouping. I can rewrite this as x cubed minus x minus 6x plus 6. So I just broke down the negative 7x into these two terms. And now I can factor by grouping. So over here, I'll common factor out an x squared, and I'm left with x minus 1. And over here, I will factor out a negative 6, and I'm left with x minus 1. So now I can, oops, actually I made a mistake here. I can only factor an x here, not an x squared. I'm left with x squared minus 1. So now I can do a difference of squares over here. I can write this as x plus 1 times x minus 1. And now I can multiply this x into this bracket over here. Oops, I had to write 2x. X squared plus x minus 1 minus 6, x minus 1. Now I can common factor out the x minus 1. And I'm left with x squared plus x minus 6. I can factor this further now into x plus 3 times x minus 2. Now that's the quick way of doing this, which is very, very rare for cubic equations, but especially when you have 3 terms. But like I said, this is a pretty cool way to solve this a bit quicker. You don't want to do factor theorem and synthetic division. Probably would take about the same time. Maybe this is just a bit quicker. So I can rewrite the top as x minus 1, x plus 3, and x minus 2. And on the bottom, I can factor this as well. It's just x minus 5, x plus 3. Now, once I factor, I can cancel anything. In this case, I can cancel the two x's. So I'm left with x minus 1, x plus 3, x minus 2. Oh, I can also cancel the x plus 3's. So there's 2 holes in this question. So this is just x minus 1 times x minus 2 divided by x minus 5. Now, as soon as I simplify, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to list out my holes. I have 2 holes in this question. The solution to the first x value of the hole, I canceled out an x, so the x value is 0. And for the second value of the hole, it's just negative 3. To find the y values of the hole, I'll just sub it back into this equation over here. So for 0, if I sub in 0 in the simplified equation, I'll get negative 2 over 5. And if I sub in negative 3 into the equation, I will get negative 5 over 2. So now I'll talk about the vertical asymptotes. The vertical asymptotes are just the solution to my denominator, so just x equals to 5. There's no horizontal asymptote because the degree of the top is greater than the degree of the bottom. There's going to be an oblique asymptote, which we'll solve for in a bit. And then the x-intercepts are just the solution to the numerator. So it's just 1 and 2. For the y-intercept, you want to sub in x as 0. But we have a hole at x equals to 0, so there's no y-intercept in this question over here. Next thing we want to do is we want to solve for the oblique asymptote. So to solve for the oblique asymptote, I want to expand this out. That's going to be x squared minus 3x plus 2 divided by x minus 5. And then I want to do long division to figure out my oblique asymptote. X squared minus 3x plus 2 divided by x minus 5. So x squared divided by x is just x. X times x minus 5 is x squared minus 5x. If I subtract these two, I'll be left with positive 2x plus 2. 2x divided by x is just 2. And then I subtract. The subtraction is not really important here because we're pretty much done with long division, but my remainder is going to be 12, which we don't really care about. What we care about is the top over here. So my oblique asymptote is just y equals x plus 2. So now that I have enough information, I'm going to start my sketch. Vertical asymptote is just x equals to 5. Oblique asymptote is x plus 2. So x plus 2 is just a positive slope of 1, and it passes through the y-intercept at positive 2 over here. And then I have the 3 points, well, the two x-intercepts at 1 and 2. I have a hole at 0 and negative 2 over 5. I have another hole at negative 3 and negative 5 over 2, which is going to be approximately over here. Maybe slightly closer because of the scale. Yeah, I'll move it closer. Because that's positive 5, so that's about negative 5 there. And now I can actually do my sketch. The left side here is kind of obvious how everything connects, because this point has to connect to this point, which has to connect to this point. It's going to go slightly above, connect back to this point, and then this has to go down. Can't go back up because there's no more x-intercepts. And this has to go this way and hug the asymptote over here. Once you draw all that, you can label the points. So negative 3, negative 5 over 2. That's just negative 2 over 5. That's just positive 1, and that's just positive 2. The graph is not super neat. I should have probably drawn it a bit better, but I think you can tell the shape. This just should be kind of straighter there, but I'll just thicken the line a bit. Same thing over here. My freehand drawing was really, really bad, but I think you get the idea. Graph just looks like that. And then you probably want to do a test point here to make sure it's above this asymptote over here. You want to plug in something like maybe 6 and make sure it's above this asymptote. If I plug in 6, this asymptote will be at 8 because it's 6 plus 2 is 8. Means if you plug in 6, you should get something higher than 6. You can also do something really close like 5.1. But I know in this case, the graph is just going to do the opposite thing in this one and just look like this on the other side. Okay, if you made it to this end, if you made it to the end of this video, please hit the like and subscribe button, as I've recorded over 500 videos and I still haven't made a single dollar yet. So please help me get my channel monetized, and thank you for watching.